She's doing it psychologically. Um, Children naturally are curious, and that type of curiosity should never be deterred. A 2-year-old, you give them a bath, and let's say they brother and sister, they 1 and 2, you give them a bath together, and they happen to look like, wait a minute, that's not the same. That's not the same. That's a natural. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing perverted about that. There's nothing immoral about that. Nothing.
That's a
As
boy
a
and that's a
as a
girl.
parent, it's your job now to explain that difference. Okay, well, she's a girl and she has this. You're a boy and you have this.
Right.
Okay, there's an age appropriate way to actually explain this stuff. Just because we're explaining the biology to children doesn't mean that we are adding all of our nuance to that biological explanation. Just let them know. This is what you do when your children reach puberty. You're not supposed to wait until your daughter comes to you already on her period before she know what her period is. You're supposed to tell her this is coming. You're going to start growing breasts. You're going to have a cycle. This is what this feels like. A little boy, you got to tell him. And this is why family structure is so important, because you would send his father to tell him about his first wet dream that he going to have, because he's getting of age to now produce sperm, and that's going to happen randomly now. He's not going to really have a lot of control over that, and he needs to understand what his body is doing at this point, and all of the hormones, and now he's going to be horny, and now what I'm saying, he needs somebody to explain that to him, preferably a man that went through that already. I've been through puberty. I know exactly what you're going through. So you know what I'm saying. This is listen, son. This is what it is.
Cold shower.
You know
Cold
what I'm saying.
shower.
This is how we handling this. And so there's always an appropriate way to be truthful to your children about the stuff that biologically is happening to them. Now, as they get older, now nuances come in because emotions are now involved. I'm probably liking this boy, or I like that girl, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Yeah, I'm getting a sexual urge to, you know what I'm saying. Now they're at the age where sex needs to be explained to them, not just from a biological space, but also from that emotional nuance space. This is how I know how you feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's perfectly fine to feel that way, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. We can still create boundaries, but you're not wrong, you know what I'm saying, for feeling the way that you feeling. And it's because we skip, I think in this society today, we so focused on letting the kid have the freedom to do this. We have skipped the biological explanation. We got girls that don't understand their period and ovulation, that don't even understand how to properly take care of themselves hygienically. You got them at 20-something-year-old not understanding you wipe front to back, baby. And you wiping back to front, and that's why you got BV. Okay? That's why your pH balance is off now, baby.
Exposing those pads and stuff like that. Don't even know the simple stuff,
Don't know the simple stuff. So
I was in high school with a girl who didn't even know how to put a tampon in. I'm just like, your mama never taught you how to put the tampon in? Like, or women still douching. It's like, why?
like we
You
don't know.
need all that. Like,
Right.
yeah.
But that's a part of parenting and raising the youth up, and you try to give them as much information as you can so they can understand the totality of the situation, the consequences of for STDs, babies, this, that, and the other. They gotta understand that you might fuck around and be able to do something with somebody, but you gotta understand the whole scope. Make sure you wear condoms. Make sure you do this. Girls, if y'all want to get them on birth control, they say they getting active or want to get active. You got to be real enough to be like, look, you got to start taking these pills because you don't want to have these kids. Y'all too young. Y'all ain't gonna. This nigga ain't about to marry you. Y'all ain't gonna take off. That shit ain't happening for real. Be responsible. Try to raise responsible kids. Because we was all young and we all did all type of shit. Like, I understand what you're saying about the girl. She know, but at the same time, as a adult man, that's even
you know how to say
you
no.
know what I'm saying?
Like,
even
hey,
through college and like, as I said, I never look back. You know what I'm saying? Like when you younger dudes look at older women as the catch. Like we look at the older chicks. Like if we could smash an older chick, that's like they gotta hit this 40-year-old.
You think
you know
women
what I'm saying?
don't look at men like that? That's what I'm saying. Women look
That's
at
why
men
the younger
same.
women go for the boy that's older.
Stability. As the man, we like younger women, but
especially if they built right.
I got little sisters and shit. Like I couldn't. At 40 years old, I'm not fucking with nobody under my little sister's ages.
So you come out looking like a brick house, you might.
Not me knowing that's them. Like, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't do it.
When you find out an age, at a certain point, you be like, okay, you cute.
Right.
You cool in theory. In theory, I'll be with you, but not in reality.
And that shows how you're raising like your like moral standpoint, because some men will be like, oh no, I can't do that, and others to be like, hey, she want it, I want it, why not?
It was a senior in high school. He had his teacher pregnant, you know, and I'm like, how did she just go and sleep with her student like that? Because he was senior and got pregnant by him.
That shit. But see, as the adult in the situation, you gotta be able to control your damn self.
I mean, that not to sound like real.
No, why would you keep it?
Like cold-hearted, but you keeping evidence of your crime.
I mean, like,
not to be rude.
She definitely got fired.
But that's literally like,
that's a job.
You can't refute that at no point. Like, hey, yo, did you do that? No. What's the little baby on the floor?
But some people, but that's what happened when you do that type of stuff to children. They grow up and do that to other children. You know what I'm saying? They think that this is a thing. So they, you know what I'm saying? They see somebody that remind them of them, and they get perverted. You know what I'm saying? That's they get perverted, and then they end up
many times a predator was prey at one point.
Back to what you were saying about the information, I think with like the point of contention with the Amber Rose, like with the vagina on the wall and everything, is that there is a such thing as information overload. Mm-hmm. If you give, and what Crimson was saying, if you give a kid that much information, like give them information overload with no social nuance, no cultural nuance, they make up whatever they want. So, I mean, like, look at how kids play house. I'm the mommy, I'm the daddy. Like, kids' imaginations are hyper active, and when you give them information, it slowly formulates in their imagination in some shape or form. So when you see kids that are like hypersexualized, and they're like, oh yeah, well, I caught my parents screwing all the time, or I was exposed to my older brother always being a pimp or something like that, or you hear some level of sexual exposure at an age where you know that
they
it wasn't
able to take that
they
information.
weren't able to process it.